Hello everyone. Today we'll be running the 5G network in split mode. In split mode, the gNB is physically divided into two entities, which are centralized unit and distributed unit. The interface between the centralized unit and distributed unit is the F1 interface. The centralized unit is further divided into user plane and control plane. The interface between CU-CP and CU-UP is E1 interface. There is a single CU for each gNB, but one CU controls multiple DUs. For example, more than 100 DUs can be connected to one CU. Each DU is able to support one or more cells, so one gNB can control hundreds of cells, unlike 4G. This is the protocol structure of F1 interface. The F1 interface is further split into control plane and user plane. F1C, the control plane of the F1 allows signaling between CU and DU. F1U is the user plane of the F1 interface, which allows the transfer of application data. The different types of messages being exchanged in F1 interface are DU configuration update, CU configuration update, and all the ULDL RRC message transfer messages, UE context setup and release messages. Next is the E1 interface, which lies between CU-CP and CU-UP. This is the protocol structure of E1 interface. I am going to run the gNB as CU-CP, CU-UP and DU instance. The build procedure is same for monolithic and split mode. This is the configuration file of CU-CP. We need to update the parameters for gNB to be in sync with core and UE. In this file, we need to change the tracking area code MCC, MNC, SST, SD. We need to update the IP address of F1 interface accordingly. We are using Open5GS Core today, so AMF IP address needs to be updated. E1 interface IP address also needs to be updated accordingly. gNB IP address also. If we need to debug any logs, we can update them here. Next is the CU-UP configuration file. Here also we need to update the tracking area code MCC, MNC, SST, SD and the F1U interface IP addresses, also the E1 interface addresses and the gNB IP address needs to be updated. There will be a DU configuration file. Here also we need to update MCC, MNC, TAC and the slice info. We need to update the F1 interface IP addresses also. The USRP related configuration parameters, and if we want to debug any further logs. So we are going to run the gNB in split mode now. The NR soft modem executable is generated when we build. So we are using this NR soft modem executable for CU-CP with the configuration file. Then we have the CU-UP. NR-CU-UP executable is generated along with NR soft modem. So we run it with CU-UP configuration file. And then the DU instance. It is run on NR soft modem executable with the gNB DU configuration file. So as soon as we run the commands, let's see into the logs. At first CU-CP, we can see over here the NGAP setup is done. in the CU CP logs, and also the CU CP and UP E1 interface. These are the logs messages that are exchanged over E1 interface. As we can see on the F1 interface with DU, here we can see F1 setup request and a response being exchanged on F1 interface from DU to CU CP. Also F1 gNB CU configuration update, and we can see there is a configuration OK message. These are the USRP configuration logs at DU. Now I am going to turn off the aeroplane mode at UE, and the UA is attached and can see the 5G network on the UE. We can see that we are able to browse the internet, can browse the YouTube. Since we are running on split mode, the data goes over CUUP, the SDAP layer in RAM. 5G network is through and can be observed on the mobile. If we see the logs at DU instance, we can see there's F1 UE context modification response and the tunnel ID that got created on PDU session. And on CU UP we can see E1 interface messages and the tunnel ID that got created once the PDU session is up. Here on CUUP, before the PDU session has happened, in the logs we can clearly see that the initial context setup response and the RC reconfiguration complete message and the PDU session. With this we can know that the PDU is up. I'm going to detach the UE, and we can see that the UE context release complete is being seen, and on the DU log also we can see the UE context release complete. I've stopped all the instances. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.